Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Inept General bringing you some more Total War Warhammer 2 news. And today we have a bit more news on the upcoming DLC, the Prophet and the Warlock, where we will see Ikit Claw go up against the Prophet of Sotek to Henuin. And we've got their final starting positions and their faction traits. So without further ado, let's have a look at what information we have. So first off, let's start by looking at Henuin, the Prophet of Sotek, and where his starting positions will be on the map. He's got a snazzy new logo here with the red serpent. I think it's a good little badge for him. I like it. It's snazzy. For the red serpent, we have him starting on the Vortex campaign down in the south. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he's right near to the starting position of Khalida. And I think this is a settlement known as the Dusk Gates, if I remember correctly. So I think that's where he's starting. Now, this is not a bad starting position for him. He'll be going up against some Skaven immediately. There are some High Elves down here. There's Khalida down here. So early doors, you'll get a good variety of the different types of enemies you'll be fighting. Now, lore-wise, you know what, he's wandering the jungle. Not a huge amount of sense lore-wise, but he's down there doing his thing for the Vortex. Makes a lot of sense. And we get our first image of him here, what he'll look like on the campaign map as well in his Vortex starting position. So, moving on from the Vortex, let's look at his starting position in the Mortal Empires campaign. And this is a bit more lore-friendly even. And he is starting off in the Northern Great Jungle. And it looks like he's starting off at the city of Zlanupek. Now, this is the capital of the area that has his native city, Chakwa, in it. So, you know, lore-wise, it makes a bit of sense. He maybe has to go back and reclaim his city of Chakwa, but that's a small outcropping of Zlanupek, if I remember correctly. So, you know, good lore-wise starting position. Quite a tricky starting position. He'll be facing off against quite a bit. There will be Skaven around here. You'll be maybe facing off against Teclis down at the Volcanic Islands. You've also got the Vampire Coast right there. A lot of different stuff coming at you. Some opportunities to merge and confederate maybe with Mazdamundi if you fight your way north fairly early on. But on the whole, you know, lore-wise fits on the nose. Happy with that starting position. Should be quite fun, although probably fighting a lot of undead early on. Moving on from the starting positions, let's have a look at the faction effects and the different mounts he'll have as the Prophet of Sotek, his items and the like. So for the faction effects, we have the sacrificial offerings gained from winning battles can be offered to Sotek to receive a variety of awards. Now, we've had a bit of a look at that when I broke down all the information around this DLC. I'm still not 100% sure if this is a unique mechanic to him, and if he will get separate regiments of renown, but that's aren't questions we still haven't had answers for, at least I haven't seen the answers. They might be on Reddit or somewhere else like that by now. Also, plus 200% for Saurus infantry and Temple Guard units until completing stage 1 of the Prophecy of Sotek. So basically, it's encouraging you to have an all-skink army until you get to that first tier of the sacrifices to Sotek. So early on, a lot of skinks in your army for Henuin, you know, making you fit in with the lore a little bit. Will make it an interesting and challenging early start with some of the monstrosities that the Vampire Counts can do with their early army. Not Vampire Count, sorry, Vampire Coast can do with their early armies. The rights cost is minus 75% for the Right of Sotek. That's a nice little bonus. Off the top of my head, I apologize for this, I can't remember which one the Right of Sotek was for the Lizard Men, but, you know, fitting in with the theme nicely there. Going across to his mounts, he can get on a Horned One, being a bit of a nod to the old days when skinks would ride Horned Ones. I like that. Get on a Ripodactyl, lovely to see that, but get on his standard Ancient Stegodon with the Engine of the Gods on top. And it looks like this will have some kind of bombarding effect, the Engine of the Gods. On the tabletop, if I remember correctly, it was more of a magic booster, but it looks like it does a bit more actively in Total War Warhammer. Going across to the Lord effects, physical resistance 10% for skinks in the Lord's army. I imagine he'll get a few boosts for that in his upgrade tree as well. Leadership plus 10% when fighting against Skaven. Fitting, he is known for killing Skaven. And Untainted, being a religious figure, get why he gets Untainted for certain areas he's in. Unique item, he has the Blade of the Serpent's Tongue. He starts with that apparently, and he gets the Plaque of Sotek, which he will get through a quest. So all in all, you know, pretty happy with those. Nothing drastic, but all fits in nicely with the themes around the Prophet of Sotek. Now let's look at some of his unique skills in his upgrade tree that we know he's going to get. You can use the Law of Beasts, fitting, that's right, that's proper. Fanatic, plus 10 melee attack, plus 10% physical resistance. Nice, fitting him in with the other skinks in his own army. Prophecy of Eradication. Bonus versus infantry plus 15, plus 10% weapon strength when fighting against Skaven, Beastmen, Warherds, Chaos, and Norska. I like that. Lord's army, weapon strength plus 10%. That's a huge boost, actually. Good boost to him. 10% boost for the army as a whole when going up against the bad guys. Disciples of Sotek, plus 20 for red-crested skinks and the Bastillodon Ark of Sotek. That's nice, good to have, makes them a bit more resistant, particularly for that Bastillodon. God, adding another 20 on its armor, that'll make it a very hardy piece of equipment there. Melee, plus 8 for red-crested skinks. So really pushing the red-crested skinks for Sotek, I like it, very thematic. Tide of Sotek, plus 10 leadership, again for those red-crested skinks, and the Bastillodon with the Ark of Sotek. And the plus 8 melee attack. So good bonus to attack, bonus to defense for the Ark of Sotek, for the red-crested skinks, and making them hang in there a lot. Promises of Reconstruction, plus 2 public order, plus 2 untainted. Tax rate plus 30% local province. That is huge. Get him moving around some of those high... If you get him to merge with Mazda Mundi, and you get him up to Hexawatl, which is a potentially huge money-making province, yeah, that's a huge boost if you get him up there fighting off. But then in that case, he might be stuck fighting Dark Elves rather than his preferred prey of Skaven. Sotek's Gifted, Winds of Magic Power Reserve plus 10, Winds of Magic Cost minus 10, just a little bit of a magic boost. Reverence, Casualty Replenishment Rate plus 1% minus %. Don't know if that's a typo. I'm guessing plus 10% that's meant to be, but maybe a typo in there. For red-crested skinks and Bastillodon with the Ark of Sotek, minus 20% upkeep for red-crested skinks and the Bastillodon. So a lot of bonuses. Get a couple of Arks of Sotek in your army there. Sacrificial Offerings, plus 20% through post-battle options. So you'll progress through the Sacrificial Offerings a lot quicker than any other lords. And Global Recruitment Capacity plus 1 and Local Recruitment Capacity plus 1. All in all, you know, good stuff. Really thematic. I really like it. I wish that would extend to maybe all skinks, not just red-crested skinks, some of the bonuses for his unique skills. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers, so that's fair enough. Really encouraging you to use that new unit. So, moving on from the Prophet of Sotek, let's go on to Ikit Claw, the Tinkerer of the Skaven, and go through some of his stuff. Now, he's just using the Clan Scryer banner that we've seen in the game already in Total War Warhammer and the Mortal Empires campaign at Skavenblight. And he is starting, as we knew from the information in the Steam release, that they will be starting at the Star Tower. So, you know, interesting place to start. Not a huge amount of selections to what you can really fight for Clan Scryer in the Vortex campaign beginning. You're really just going up against, you maybe even bumping heads of Clan Pestilence a little bit there, but a lot of vampires, a couple of lizard men down to the south. The Dark Elves will be coming at you probably quite hard as well, with Lockyer Fellheart just a little bit further south of you. Good bit of variety, not my favorite position, but, you know, not a bad position either. And here we get a look at him in his Vortex starting position, looking great on the campaign map there. And for the Mortal Empires campaign, as many of us could have guessed, he is going to be starting at Skavenblight. Lawfully true, he has the Forges of Clan Scryer under Skavenblight, the capital of Skavendom. That's where he belongs, and I'm glad to see him there. And it'll be great to have a character where you can play out from Skavenblight in the Mortal Empires campaign, particularly with the exciting new up-and-coming Under Empire mechanics. If you haven't heard of the Under Empire mechanics, do check out my video on some of the free DLC we can be expecting with this release on the 17th of April. Alright guys, so that's the starter positions. Let's look at some of the faction effect and lord effects. The faction effects, he can gain access to the Forbidden Workshop. We talked about that mechanic a little bit in my breakdown of the DLC, but allowing you to upgrade certain units like the Doom Wheel, the Doom Flayers, kind of like the armor bonuses used to work in some of the historical titles for Total War. Plus 20% research rate, very fitting, very smart, the Mad Tinkerer is. So I like that one. Plus 2 loyalty to new recruits, handy. Construction, minus 40%. He is an engineer after all. So I like that. Very nice. The mounts, he can go on the Doom Flare or the Doom Wheel. Now, Ikit Claw on a Doom Wheel would be very interesting. Will he still be able to use his flaming attacks in the Doom Wheel? Yet to be seen. It'll be interesting to see how that works, but yeah, potentially very daunting to have him wheeling about the battlefield. Could be very scary, potentially. The Lord effects starts the campaign with a Warpstone Doom Rocket. Now, we've seen them. They're the nuclear explosions on the battlefield that we will now be getting, and it looks like he will start the campaign with one. He won't have to build one in the Forbidden Workshop, which will take up a number of your resources. He also has minus 50% upkeep on Warplock Giselles, Rattling Guns, and Warp Fire Throwers. So the weapons teams for this Skaven. I like that a lot. That's nice. Recruit rank +2 for all Skaven weapons teams. Again, very good indeed. His unique items, he's starting with the Iron Frame. So I'm not sure what this new theme is of Lord starting with an item already. I'm not sure what's behind that, rather than giving you a quest mission to get them, as you would have had to have done with all other Legendary Lords thus far in the series, I think. And his Storm Demon, his weapon of choice there. So all in all, good fun. I think it fits mostly, yeah. It's very thematic. I like all of those faction effects and lord effects for Ikit Claw. Now, some of his unique skills. He uses the Law of Ruin, as many Warlock engineers do. He has Power Overload, which is cooldown minus 20% to all spells, so he'll be able to fire them off in pretty quick succession. Warp Tech Academy, plus free loyalty for Warlock Masters. So plus free loyalty for the generals that happen to be Warlocks, and +1 hero capacity for a Warlock engineer. So, you know, just go Warlock crazy. Get all the Warlock engineers you can get your hands on, make them generals, make them heroes, let's go mad with it. Improved Warpstone Detector, plus 50% chance to acquire warp fuel after a battle. Now, what this ties into is some of his new mechanics, where you use your warp fuel in the Forbidden Workshop to build up stuff like the Doomfire rocket. That'll be interesting to do, and it's good that he has a bonus for that as well. Ammunition type, concentrated flame, increased range, and anti-large damage for himself. So I'm not sure what this is exactly. I can't tell if this is a skill, which will give him increased range and anti-large, plus 12% missile damage, or if it's just a passive trait. I'm not sure about that one, so we'll have to look into that when we get to see them probably this weekend. Optimized production, recruitment duration -1 for the Doom Flares, nice. Recruitment rank +2 for the Doom Flares and the Doom Wheel units, very nice as well. Winds of Magic Power Reserve, plus 20%. Upgrade ability, Brass Orb. Okay, oh no, pretty happy with that, you know, I like it. Really sort of pushing those new units and stuff as they should with all the DLCs we've seen so far. The Lords are very much geared towards the units they come with. Very fitting, very happy to see it. All in all, interesting thing. I like that we finally have Ikit Claw and Skaven Blight, Tehenuin in the jungles of Lustria. We need Lords there, and we'll probably get a free Lord in there as well, if I was to guess. But all in all, really quite happy with that one, guys. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the starting positions and on some of their traits and unique skills. Other than that, guys, as always, a huge thank you to you all for watching, and I hope to catch you all on the next one. All right, guys, bye.